Hey, welcome back to Impossible Color. All right, let's get started now. So, I'm going to be working with this portrait here today of a toddler lying down after her soccer practice. First thing I'm going to do in Adobe Camera Raw is I'm going to go in and get my camera profile set up to neutral. So there's no processing that's happening without my consent. Adobe's not. Now for this particular image, I got quite a bit of white space at the top, and I don't normally do this, but I'm going to try a square crop for this. So I'm going to go up here and grab my crop tool, and if I hold down shift, then I get a perfect square. So I'm going to get my square, and just going to get those eyes roughly on the third line there. Maybe I'll go slightly higher for that. And that does it for me right there. And now for the white balance adjustment. I know for sure that her shirt here has kind of a pure white, but it is making the scene look a lot more yellow than I'd like. I think the white in her shoe there looks pretty decent. Let's go to the temperature and tweak that slightly. And the tint as well. And that looks to do the job for me. And now for the exposure settings. I'll start off with the white. I got my indicators on there so I know when I'm going completely white. And I'm going to counter that by bringing down my highlights. So I want a nice bright image, but not overexposed. That seems to be a healthy balance there. You can see the red indicators disappearing as I slide that down. And now for the shadows. Going to bring those up a little bit. And then bring down my blacks so I get some nice dark areas for a full tonal range. And the clarity slider, otherwise known as local contrast. I think I'm going to leave that at 0 for this one. It does seem to fit what I'm looking for. I'm going to be doing my sharpening later on in Photoshop, so I'm going to skip that. And likewise for the noise reduction. And now for my HSL. Move my reds to the left. I just prefer cooler reds. If you're watching and you'd like to join into the chat, please feel free to do so and ask questions as I go. Gonna get a green that's more complementary to the red in her shirt. a little bit of aqua peeking through the sky up there. See a tiny bit of magenta. I'll bring that towards the red slightly. And now for the saturation. I'm going to be going for a kind of a stylized painterly look for this one. We're doing some cool effects in Photoshop, so going to be a little bit more playful since this is a young portrait. You can see quite a bit of the blue. That's a reflection of the sky in her eyes. But I find it actually takes away from the image, so I'm going to turn that down quite a bit. Hey, welcome to Impossible Color. Those have just joined us, you're welcome to drop into the chat as well. Got some chromatic aberration happening here. You can see the little bit of purple and then green. So before I go any further, I'm going to try to deal with that in here. Increase the range slightly. You can see when I move that slider to the left, it's covering a little bit more of the eye. But I'm just going to take a quick look around and make sure that that didn't mess up anything else. Yeah, you can see this shoulder got a little bit of difficulty there. I think what I'm going to have to do is ignore it for now and make all my changes, and then in Photoshop later on I'll bring in another version with it corrected in the areas that are a problem. So I'm going to jump right back to my luminance. So by dropping the luminance value slightly on the red, I can maintain the detail on the lollipop. When I went too high, you can see it just became a bit too much. And that was, you could see the indicator filled it up entirely. Bringing up my oranges and yellows, and you can see that helps the face pop out a little bit more. See if I turn that off. You can see the effect of it right there. I'm going to bring the greens down quite a bit. Since I've got the face coming forward, I want the background to disappear a little bit. So by darkening it, it will recede slightly. Check my lens profile corrections. And now we're ready to jump right into Photoshop. Okay, before I do anything, I'm just going to save this. And I'm going to bring in another version of this in Camera Raw. And this one is going to be optimized to get rid of all of that chromatic aberration that's taking place. Oh, lost my spot here. There we go. So drop the green out of the eyes. And that purple's corrected as well. Let's open that up in Photoshop. And I'm just going to grab a chunk of the face here and paste this in. And what I did was I made a mask. I want to get this nice and smooth. So you can see the green all along this edge here with the area that I painted in. I'm just going to turn my brush to white to reveal the mask that's over here. And you can see that very easily corrects all of those weird green spots without messing up the other areas like that shoulder. Now if I did the chromatic aberration fringe adjustments just over the entire image, it would mess this up. But there's no reason to sacrifice when we can have both. Control E can merge those layers together. And now I'm going to do some color adjustments. So by doing a layer, adjustment layer, just click on that little guy down there. And I'm going to start with color balance. And just 1 second. All right, sorry about that. So just adjusting the shadows here. Now the midtones. and the highlights. Now let's have a look at what happened so far. I think there's a lot more depth in the color now. But we're going to go make another one with selective color. Hey, Spuddy, welcome back. Now for the greens. Can add a lot more cyan there. Just so you can, cyan is opposite the red on the color wheel, so it gives a nice complementary look. Darkening up the blacks in the green. So by going towards the right with black, we'll just darken that color. Similar to the luminance that we did in Camera Raw. So you can see most of the blue is reflected in the whites, and you'll find that quite a bit for outdoor shots, that all your whites will contain a lot of blue. These are subtle changes, but I think they're actually really important to the cohesiveness of your image. And we got some magentas coming through with the reds of the shirt here. How's the volume, Spuddy? And is the mono working okay for the microphone today? Ooh, I like that slight bit of yellow in there. Kind of gives a bit of a vintage feel to it. Not sure if I want to keep that or not. Maybe we'll split the difference. Just getting a little bit of yellow in the whites there. Just kind of makes it a little bit creamier overall. So Spuddy says that the stream is lagging. Okay, let's have a look here. See what my settings are. I put my settings up really high for the event, and I actually had to cancel it and restart. I'm not sure if the settings stayed too high or not. And now the blacks are done. Let's have a look at those changes. Gonna group those two layers together as color. And we'll check the before and after. And I'm not happy with that yellow change that I made in the white. I thought I liked it, but not so sure now. I think it's actually taking away from the overall look. So I'm gonna go back in and set that to 0. And I'm gonna reclaim a little bit of the yellow in the greens. I think I went too extreme there. That's the beauty of these adjustment layers, is you can go in and set them back, change them whenever you like. And that's much better.